Today we crown a champion in 1A football in the state of Washington. It is a very nice atmosphere here at the Tacoma Dome as we get you set for the 1A football state championship, the Gridiron Classic rolling on. It's the Knights against the Knights. Royal High School at 13-0 against the Kings Knights at 12-1. Great to be with you on this beautiful, beautiful setting here in the Tacoma Dome. John Versteeg, Matt Bissett, our great NFHS Network crew. And Matt, when you talk about the storylines here today for Knights team out of King's School in Seattle, they're looking for the first ever football state championship.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've just got past the quarterfinals for the first time in their school's history, and now they're looking to make the two steps later and win the championship. They got past the quarterfinals this year, and they got past the semifinals last week in a great victory over Montesano. They have 44 banners hanging in their gym from state championships across all sports. They're looking to hang their first football one up in school history.
Yeah, it would be an amazing end to a journey throughout the fall. We'll talk about Royal High School coming up on the other side of this timeout as we pause for the playing of our national anthem. Back in just a moment on the NFHS Network. Going to break, Matt, and when you look at Royal, boy, they have been outstanding, just bludgeoning opponents this year, but it's safe to say that they haven't faced a team really with the size that Kings has.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's going to stand out for me today. Last week, Kings overpowered Montesano with a heavy rushing attack. They had two rushers go over 100 yards apiece, and I look for that today because Royal's in the same situation as Montesano. They don't have the size to match up with Kings, but what a storied program. They've had 5 state championships to their name in just football alone. You know, conversely, we talked about Kings doesn't have any, so it's going to be interesting in that regard.
Yeah, you take a look at what they're able to do on the offense, and both teams feature the running game no more so than Kings, with 2 running backs, Caleb Perry and Andrew Klein, each with over 1,000 yards on the season.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to do the game last week, and both those players were electric. Caleb Perry is also a track. He's a sprinter. He does the 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters. He hits the line of scrimmage so quick, and he's a little slight of frame, so he kind of gets lost in behind that big offensive line for Kings. And Andrew Klein is a guy they were going to early and often last week. Really was kind of my MVP of the game. He was just, every time they needed to move the sticks, he was there for him.
Yeah, Cole Wilkins, their quarterback, broke his collarbone in the second league game. It took him about 6 to 8 weeks to come back. He came back in the playoff game against Linden Christian. And when you take a look at for Royal, yeah, the high school Royal with the quarterback of Caden Jakes on the other side, Joe Lang, a pretty good running back in his own right.
Yeah, Joe Lang went over 1,000 yards this year. And you talked about Caden Jenks. I mean, anytime at the high school level, most teams are going to feature their run game. Caden Jenks threw for 45 touchdowns this year and counting. We'll see what he does here today. Maybe he can hit that 50 mark if this is a high-scoring game like I expect it to be. But they're always looking forward to seeing some good quarterback play, especially from Caden Jenks. He's a junior.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the path to get here in the 1A state championship, Royal beating Cannell last week in Moses Lake. Kings over Montesano. And obviously, when you take a look at the path that Royal took to get here, 69-0 in the first round over Charles Wright Academy. They beat Colville 21-7 before knocking off Cannell back last weekend over in the eastern side of the state. And for King's School, boy, what a storybook season it's been for them. 24-7 the win over Townsend, 42-21 in the quarterfinals, and then the win over Montesano. And, you know, it's funny, in talking with the Kings head coach and Jim Shapiro, he said, last year on Friday morning, I would stop on my way to work at Goodwill and get a trophy for the kids. And I would tell them they're playing for a trophy this week. If they won, I gave it to them. So that sort of mindset is what I've taken over into this year, and it's certainly worked out well for them.
Well, yeah, the trophy they'll be playing for today is not from the Goodwill, I can assure you that, but I am looking forward to seeing these kids get after it. They got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, some big-time players at the 1A level, and Jim Shapiro has obviously brought this program into its prominence. They've competed every year. I mean, they've been in the state playoffs last 7 years, making it only to the quarterfinals each of the last 6 before this year. They're looking to kick the door down and win a state title.
We will go ahead and take one more time out. When we come back on the other side, we've got the opening kickoff on the 1A state championship game here in the Gridiron Classic in Tacoma on the NFHS Network. And we welcome you back here to Tacoma today as they are just about finishing the starting lineups, introducing both teams. It is Kings against Royal, and Kings in the white and black, Royal in the red. And, you know, it's always interesting when two schools from the other side of the state are meeting each other in the playoffs. A little bit of intrigue, but certainly going to make for a great matchup.
Yeah, not a lot of familiarity between these two teams. Based on the research I did, they haven't met at all in their school's history. So that's, that always leads to some curiosity. Are they going to play the first quarter? Are they going to try to feel each other out? I mean, I'm sure they've watched film on each other. But then again, with Cole Wilkins being hurt most of the year, how much film does the Royal team have on this Kings offense with their quarterback being hurt for most of the year? They cycled in and out 4 different quarterbacks while he was out.
You know, injuries have certainly been a storyline for Kings. We saw the Cascade Defensive Player of the Year, Cooper Wright, who broke his foot. He's riding a scooter as he's here cheering on his teammates, and as a result, the quarterback Cole Wilkins switched numbers. So yeah, it's kind of been a game of musical chairs for Kings, no doubt.
Yeah, kind of a ceremonial thing. I like seeing stuff like that. You have your quarterback who swapped jerseys with your defensive leader who can't play in this game. So number 20 will be on the field today, but it won't be Cooper Wright. It's going to be Cole Wilkins, and I think that's kind of cool to see the camaraderie there.
Yeah, no question about it. And Jim Shapiro, the head coach for Kings. You look at Royal on the other side, and Coach Willie Allred with his squad, and he's got some size up front on that offensive line. They call those offensive linemen the 5'4 club. They're all about 5'4 and under, but they are bruisers. And so that battle on the defensive side for Kings, we'll have to wait and see how that shapes itself.
Being 5'4 isn't the worst thing in the world when you're talking about a position that's so much based on leverage. So being 5'4, they're going to be able to get underneath the much larger Kings players. It's not exactly a disadvantageous position for the Royal offensive line.
Jack Van Dyke is set to kick it off. Jose Ponce, Joe Lang back deep to receive for the Knights of Royal. So we are just about set to go here from the 40-yard line. Good kick, and it goes to the up man. The fair catch called for by Carson Gilbert. And just in front of the 30-yard line is where this offense will start today for the Royal High School Knights, spotted at the 25.
And Kings did a similar kickoff last week after they scored their first touchdown against Montesano. They pooched it down on the right-hand side there, and the upbacks weren't ready for it. It looks like Royal's upbacks were certainly ready for that kick. Nice fair catch by the upback to not allow a recovery by Kings.
All right, here we go. Quarterback for Royal High School. Caden Jenks out of the shotgun. Joe Lang is the running back. Sam and Corbin Christensen, the two wide receivers on first down, play action in the rollout. Little pressure, and the pass incomplete. Intended for Christensen, Sam Christensen, the junior.
Yeah, they're going to sling the ball a lot today, Royal is, and that was good pressure by Edmund Sundquist, who's also the star tight end of Kings. He got pressure right up in Caden Jenks' face and made for the errant throw.
2nd and 10. 45 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions for Caden Jenks on the season as they go empty on 2nd down. Plenty of time. Over the middle of the pass caught. Christensen, the yards after the catch. He's inside Royal territory, and he is down at the 45-yard line. 20-yard pickup.
Great pocket awareness there by Caden Jenks. You saw him climb the pocket. It looked like he could have ran for a first down, but you see the strength of him and the strength of this team is on the passing game. Caden Jenks was never looking to run the ball there, even though he had plenty of daylight out in front of him. Made a great throw to Christensen, who picked up a ton of yards.
21 on the play. That spot giving them an extra yard at the 44-yard line. Bullet pass caught just inside the 30, hit and driven back. Christensen making the catch. Corbin Christensen there.
Yeah, let's see if Jenks can get into some rhythm here. Anytime you start to string together completions. A great quarterback like this, you're going to see him get in a rhythm. Only a junior once again. I'm going to see he might start to light it up here.
A gain of 4 to the 40-yard line. They line up in the I formation. Another play action. Hit as he throws, as he airs it out deep in the double coverage. Over the middle, it's tipped and almost intercepted. Oh, he tried to thread the needle.
Great coverage there on the play. That's their quarterback and safety, Cole Wilkins, number 20, who came over there. Looked like he might have been in position to pick that one off, but number 9, Jack Van Dyke, jumped in front of him. Almost made a play on the ball as well, but it fell harmlessly to the turf for Royal.
Jose Ponce, their speed guy, was the intended receiver. He's got 13 touchdowns, Matt. That's not going to be the last time they're going to look for him deep. On third down, Christensen brothers to the bottom of your screen. Hard count and movement.
That looks like that's going to be on the defense, jumping into the neutral zone on number 79 on Kings.
They're not related.
I believe that's on the big D tackle, Taylor Schoenfeld, 6'1", 260, sophomore, just jumped into the neutral zone there.
So they actually call it on Kings. And so, yeah, gets them close to the first down marker. Under center, Jenks. And they give on the end around, going to Joe Lang. First time we've seen Lang get the ball today. They pick up the first down.
Yeah, Lang's really a dual threat. I mean, they get in the 3rd and 1 and maybe even 3rd and half a yard, and they give it to Lang. But he did have 6 receiving touchdowns on the year to go with 18 rushing. So just because they pass the ball doesn't mean he's going to be taken out of the offense.
Spotted down at the 32-yard line, 1st and 10. Lang lined up alongside Jenks. And they give to Jenks around the far side. Or Lang, rather, as he gets it inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line. Hard running there.
Great job of pulling around to make the block by Victor Villanueva. He led Jenks through that hole, and Jenks was able to pick up a nice 4 or 5 yards on first down. So what you're looking for, 4 or 5 yards on first down, puts you ahead of the sticks, opens up your whole offensive playbook.
Take that all afternoon. Clock runs. Now under 10 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. Ponce is to the bottom of your screen. On 2nd and 6 from the 28. Play action. Pocket collapses, and he throws. Caught right at the 10-yard line. Good catch hauled in there by Sam Christensen.
Yeah, Christensen was open just about on that entire play. They gave him a big-time cushion. I think they're worried about his speed, and they should be. They should be worried about the speed of all these Royal wide receivers. Nice job of rolling out, getting, buying himself some time by Jenks and find the open receiver there.
Yeah, 26-yard pickup down to the 10-yard line. And Royal methodical here. Taking its time, trips to the top of your screen. Sam and Corbin Christensen and Ponce. Ponce in the middle on that 3 wide receiver set. And the handoff to Lang. He cuts back, and he is into the end zone for the touchdown. A 10-yard score for Joe Lang, and Royal up 6-0 here in the opening quarter.
That's the second time they ran that same exact play on this drive with trips to the left. They start Joe Lang to the right of the quarterback and comes across the formation to where the trips are. Victor Villanueva, number 66, the offensive lineman, pulls around to lead the way, picks up another fantastic block, and they get in for 6.
And on for the extra point. Is Ponce. Easy as you please there. And so with 9:12 to go in the opening quarter, we've got Royal on top 7-0 over Kings. Take a timeout. We'll come back after this on the NFL.
Make today's memories last a lifetime with a DVD from the NFHS network, We Are High School.
And so after the touchdown Carson kicks it off. And returning it up to the 27-yard line. That's where the Kings offense goes to work for the first time here today.
Yeah, that was Andrew Klein on the return, one of the 2,000-yard rushers for the Kings offense, and both teams going with the with kind of a pooch kick on their first kickoffs of the game. It's kind of interesting to see if they might try to boot it deep, as the game progresses, or if they're going to keep going with the pooch.
So Cole Wilkins is in the shotgun on first down in the offset formation. Caleb Perry, Andrew Klein, the two 1,000-yard rushers in the backfields. Three-man front for the Royal Knights. On first down, hitting the hole hard off left tackle, it is Perry. Ooh, smooth on that 8-yard run on first down.
Yeah, Perry led the team in touches last week from a rushing perspective. He gets that line of scrimmage so quick with that sprinter speed. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with all day long for this Kings Knights offense.
Checked out a gain of 12. And first down. Wilkins conferring with his backs. And on first down, they were ready for it there. Klein dropped in the backfield for a loss of 1.
That's Andy Villafana on the tackle, one of their 2-star linebackers who just swarmed to every single ball they can find. 52 and 55 are the numbers to look out for on the Royals defense. They're going to be all in the backfield all day long for Royal.
On 2nd and 11. Calling signals is Wilkins. Play action, lefty got to move. And Wilkins, good job to stay on his feet. He gets positive yardage inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Gain of 3.
Yeah, 3rd and long. This is not where you want to be for Kings, but at least Cole Wilkins was able to avoid the sack there, pick up some positive yardage. Looking at a 3rd and 7. Let's see if they can convert and answer that big-time Royal drive they started off with.
Yeah, 3rd and long. By the way, the receivers are Cole Mitchell and Jake Welch. They do run some double tight end set with Ed Sundquist to complement their horses in the backfield. Caleb Perry and Andrew Klein. On 3rd down. This time a rollout. Across his body with a throw. Almost intercepted. Incomplete. Intended for Carson Gilbert.
Yeah, it was actually Carson Gilbert on the breakup. It was intended for Ben Haberman. That's a dangerous throw from Cole Wilkins there to throw back across his body. Carson Gilbert almost came up with a big interception. It looks like King's going to go for it. But Cole Wilkins is also their punter, so they might just line him up, see what the look is, and then he might drop back a little further and kick it down.
Yeah, they let it go from the 41. Nice punt. And it backs them up all the way inside the 20. And let's see if they can save it. And it's down. Right at the goal line. What a job on special teams for Kings.
Incredible special teams play there from Ben Hermes. Looked like on the coverage, he just barely kept that ball out of the end zone. Great punt by their starting quarterback, Cole Wilkins. Royals going to be pinned inside of their 1-yard line. They couldn't have drew it up any better than that.
You want to talk about a test. I mean, that's it right there for Royal. So we're under 7 minutes to go. Difference in this one, the 10-yard touchdown run by Joe Lang. And we are ready to go for the second drive of the day for the Royal High School Knights. Out of Eastern Washington. On first down, play action, a roll out. He's got to get rid of it. Throw over the middle, incomplete. And that has been a familiar theme. The Kings defense been able to really put the quarterback, Caden Jenks, on the run.
Yeah, and they brought some pressure through up the middle that time with a couple extra blitzing linebackers. It looked like Jack Van Dyke, who was on the coverage on the play, had a chance to pick that one off, but he was looking at the receiver, Ponce, and he wasn't even thinking about the ball that went over his head.
2nd and 10. Credit the front part of that Knights defense. They go 4-3. Ed Sundquist, Jack McLeod, Taylor Schoenfield, Duncan Cull really put the pressure on Caden Jenks in this Knights offense. And the quarterback keeper, off left tackle, gets a few up to the 3.5-yard line. A little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I don't mind that play call at all. You got to give your quarterback some breathing room before a big third down play. I mean, this is a possible momentum shift here right on this play. Now they got a 3rd and 8, from the 3-yard line. You have to give him some room, especially if you have to punt after this also. You don't want your guy punting from the back of the end zone.
Yeah, field position so integral here in the early going. This time on the rollout. Much needed pass caught at the 15-yard line. Jose Ponce, but the ball squirts loose. Officials blow the play dead. Forward progress going to give them some breathing room here.
No, I think the official on the near side came in and ruled that incomplete. I mean, we could have this debate all day, I guess, with what's a catch and what's not a catch in this day and age, but they're going to rule he didn't have possession for long enough. Great job by the defensive back, Jack Van Dyke, to keep fighting for that ball because Ponce had it in his hand, and at the last minute just seemingly he pulled it away. It's kind of tough to call in live time if that was a catch or not.
Yeah, Cooper Wright is back deep for Kings. At the 28-yard line, the punt out of the end zone. And Wright going to let a gloriously long punt, if you're a Kings fan, go all the way back into the Royal territory where it's down at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, that was the quarterback, Cole Wilkins, back to receive that punt, and he was playing curiously shallow on the punt. The punt was about 10 to 15 yards over his head, and he had no chance at it. That's a booming play for the Royal defense to give them some room now to where they don't have to worry about starting in Kings Plus territory.
And from where Royal started, the best possible result there, starting at their own 1-yard line.
Yeah, other than not getting a first down, but to not get a first down, and now all of a sudden Kings is starting at the 30. That's an incredible play. We've seen special teams be special so far.
So here's Wilkins on first down. Handoff, and the run up to the 35-yard line for Andrew Klein. Gain of 5.
Yeah, Andrew Klein is kind of their first down go-to guy. Now they're going to kind of hurry it up here.
2nd and 5. The off-tackle run up to the 39-yard line. Klein once again. Yeah, Caleb Perry gets a lot of the accolades. It's almost as if Coach Shapiro has to remind media members that Andrew Klein's been as decorated a runner this season.
Yeah, Andrew Klein actually led the team in rushing on the year. They were very close, but I think Andrew Klein with a few more yards last week than Perry led the team in rushing on the season so far, and he picks up the first down there.
3-yard off-tackle run for Klein once again. So you're talking about 12 yards in this second drive of the game for Kings, and it's all been from Klein.
Yeah, it's almost as if after that first drive stalled for Kings, they want to enforce their will now. They have the bigger front. They want to show Royal what their front's all about, and they're going to try to run the ball down their throat here.
Wilkins, look at the hole open up for Klein. He's inside territory of Royal down to the 48-yard line. Check that. That was Perry.
Yeah, that was Perry. Like I said, he gets through that line so quick, and he's so slight of frame that behind those big offensive linemen, he gets lost in there, and before you know it, he's 6-7 yards down the field. Their defensive backs better be ready to tackle, otherwise we could be seeing him break one to the house.
Thing of beauty on that last play with that triple option.
A lot of deception there, a lot of ball handling going on.
1st and 10, Royal 48-yard line. Motion man is Sundquist, the tight end. Hole opens up, and Perry takes it inside the 35 down to the 30-yard line. An 18-yard run, and now it's looking awfully easy for Kings.
Perry looks a bit shaken up on the play. Great run for about 15 yards. His left arm, he seems to be a bit shaken up. Maybe his hand just kind of got smashed there by somebody's helmet. The trainers are over looking at his left hand.
Yeah, Perry getting the medical attention. Momentary stop of the action.
This Kings team, no stranger to injuries with Cole Wilkins and Cooper Wright, both suffering injuries on the year. That's why they have, they have all these running backs that can step in.
Now plenty of time, room to throw, and it's intercepted. picked off over the middle, brought back inside the 40. Penalty flag down and inside Kings territory. Coming up with a huge interception there, it's Joe Lang.
Incredible interception by Joe Lang. Just stepped underneath that crossing route, picked it off, and had a nice return. I do think this penalty is going to be a block in the back on Royal. It will be post-interception, so the interception will still stand, but that ball is going to come back. They're not going to get the terrific field position that it looks like here. And, yeah, it's exactly what it is. Block in the back. That ball is going to come back inside the 30-yard line of Royal.
And how about what you've seen from that play with Jenkins when he had all the time in the world to work and threw into double coverage?
Yeah, he was really bracketed. The receiver was bracketed on the play. I didn't catch who it was, but he was bracketed. And that's the second time that Wilkins has made a tough throw, and it's almost gotten it. Well, that time it got intercepted. The first time it was almost intercepted. He's going to have to put some more zip on those crossing routes because these Royal defenders are looking to step underneath them every time.
And the call made with the illegal block in the back, so they go back all the way to the 24-yard line. Certainly not going to let any wind out of the sails with how big of an interception that was.
No, I mean, this is high school football. There's lots of peaks and valleys. You're going to see, I mean, Kings and Royal, I'm sure they had to rebound from adversity all season long, maybe more so on the Kings end because Royal won by about an average of 50 points this year. But they're used to dealing with adversity. They'll be fine.
And their quarterback, Caden Jenks, 1,261 passing yards this year. We talked about the touchdown to interception ratio, 45-2. And on first down, on the rollout, faking the handoff, plenty of time to work. Catch and run inside the 40 and is taken out of bounds near midfield. That was Lang, and that was a thing of beauty.
Kind of a neat little play there. It's rare that you see the quarterback roll out to the same direction where the play fake went. But he rolled out along with Joe Lang and gave himself a run-pass option. There was only one defender out there. He decided to dump it off to a star running back who, like I said earlier, is a dual threat, has over 5 touchdowns, both rushing and receiving on the year.
21-yard pickup to the 45-yard line. Under 4 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. Here comes the pressure on the quarterback blitz. The screen route tipped and dropped. Oh, they had a bunch of players for Kings right in the middle of that one. That was a dangerous ball.
Incredible job by Jared Stretton, the linebacker for Kings, reading the screen. He jumped the screen, knocked the ball in the air. It almost fell right on top of him as he laid on his back. That would have been a huge turn of events for Kings. Like I said, a lot of peaks and valleys at the high school level.
In case you're just joining us, a 10-yard touchdown run from Joe Lang. The difference in this one, 7-0 Royal with the lead. Great to have you with us. John Versteeg, Matt Bissett here inside our raucous Tacoma Dome on this Gridiron Classic. Started yesterday, continues throughout the day today, all the classes in the state of Washington. And a timeout taken.
Timeout called by King.
Kings High School.
The Kings coaching staff, it looks like they didn't like the look that they were getting there, and they decided to take a timeout, maybe to avoid giving up a big play. If you want to watch more of your school's great events like the game you're enjoying here tonight, then tell your school to sign up for the NFHS Network School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to www.nfhsnetwork.com/SBP.
Well, Matt, you talked about purchasing a DVD. This seems like the type of game you're going to want to watch years and years down the line if you're playing in this one.
Well, especially with our voices in the background. I mean, I think that's the most important factor.
Added bonus, no doubt about that. 7-0 the lead for Royal over Kings, the Knights against the Knights. So we'll talk about these two schools by referring to them as their school name moving forward. But yeah, up to the 45-yard line on 2nd down and 10. Familiar setup with Lang in the backfield. Caden Jenks. Motion man in the backfield is Christensen. On play action with the pocket collapsing again. A bullet throw and the first down catch inside the 45 down to the 43-yard line. That was Jose Ponce with a reception.
Yeah, Caden Jenks really showcased his arm there with a bullet throw to the left-hand side to Ponce. Caleb Perry had good coverage on the play, but Jenks' arm was just too strong. He couldn't react in time to that throw.
And first down and 10 for this Royal High School offense. They go empty on first down. Fake of the jet sweep. Bullet throw over the middle, and that is the tight end, Stacklin. Stacklin exit down at the 20-yard line.
And that was the quarterback for Kings taking a big hit on the player, trying to deliver a big hit, but he got hit in return by the tight end Sawyer Stacklin. That was a huge collision down the field. I'm sure that's not the type of collision that the Kings high school coaching staff wants to see their quarterback taking as he plays as safety.
22-yard pickup to the 20-yard line. On 1st and 10. This time another play action and a rollout. Plenty of room to run for Jenks. Inside the 10, barrels ahead, and he is taken out of bounds at the 3.5-yard line.
Yeah, well, Caden Jenks is known more for his arm, but he's not afraid to run the ball. He had 7 rushing touchdowns on the year coming into this game, and you saw him use his legs right there. Great job by Jack Van Dyke, the cornerback, to stop the touchdown there on the near sideline.
Cornerbacks have been active in this game for Kings School. And you look at what Royals done very well here today, Matt. They've sold the run, and Jenks has come up throwing bullets. Under center now on 1st and goal. Off tackle run, and the touchdown for Joe Lang. 12-0. But a flag coming up, so 13-0. We'll wait and see what the call is.
I didn't see where the flag came in from. Oh, it looks like it's going to be an illegal formation. Or no, he's saying to roll the time. I don't think there's a flag on the play. They may have picked it up. But you know what really stands out to me is the variety of formations we're seeing from Royal. A lot of teams that like to spread the ball out and throw the ball around like they do, they sometimes struggle inside the red zone. Well, when Royal gets down there, they're not afraid to line up in an I formation, throw an extra tight end in the game, and power it home to finish off a drive. And that's what we've seen their first 2 touchdown drives of this game.
Ponce with the extra point. It's good, and it's 14-0 Royal with the lead. Quick timeout. Back in a moment. NFHS Network. Great to be with you here today. And, well, you want to talk about Royal, and they have kind of stuck to the same script with jumping out to the early lead.
Yeah, their stars have been their stars. Joe Lang with 2 touchdowns, the running back, and Caden Jenks, their quarterback, has really spread the ball around. We've even seen him do a little bit with his legs, and it gives them a 14-0 lead. Now it's time for Kings to see how they respond.
Yeah, Chase Leland called for the fair catch from the 35-yard line. Kings going back to work. And Koa Wilkins, for a kid that broke his collarbone in the 2nd game of the season, showing no ill effects. His passes have been with a lot of juice on them. They just haven't been that accurate here today.
Yeah, he's going to have to be careful. These DBs for Royal are really active in undercutting routes, so he's going to have to be very careful. We've seen 1 big turnover so far.
And so here is Perry back in there after leaving the last drive to get medical attention, and he runs it up to the 43-yard line. A nice 8-yard run on 1st down.
Yeah, it's good to see Perry bounce back from that injury for everybody, especially for the Kings faithful here.
2nd and 2. This time the give to Klein. Off 1, 2 tackles. 1st down, a little bit more. Helmet is lost as he is inside Royal territory down to the 48-yard line. That turned into a 9-yard run on what could have been 5 or 6 yards.
And there's the benefit of having that kind of thunder and lightning complement of backs. Klein should have been tackled in the backfield, it looked like there, but he broke about 3 or 4 tackles and picked up the 1st down, and now Kings is in business in plus territory.
1st down and 10.
So Wilkins back calling plays out of the gun on the offset formation. 2 receivers to the top of your screen, and it's as easy as going right up the gut there. Well, Whitaker with a 5.5-yard run on 1st down.
Yeah, I like that call. You kind of keep them off balance. They've been handing to Perry and Klein, just basically solely those 2 guys. Now you give it to Jackson Whitaker on a quick hitter, and he picks up 5 yards on 1st down. That puts Kings in great position on 2nd down.
Be interesting to see how much they mix Whitaker into the offense to keep Caleb Perry and Andrew Klein, their 2,000-yard rushers, fresh. Shotgun, looking to air it out deep. Incomplete. Sticking with that familiar theme, Cole Mitchell, the intended receiver, just overthrew him there.
Yeah, Cole Mitchell, he didn't get a single target last week against Montesano. They were kind of bracketing him. They had a safety over the top all day long, and it looked like Koa Wilkins kind of predetermined where he's going to throw that ball. The cornerback on that side, number 14, Corbin Christensen, bailed, and the throw just wasn't there. You like to see Cole Wilkins pull that down and go somewhere else.
On 3rd down and 6, Royal stacks 8 men in the box. And now they move Perry into the slot. And on play action, the off-tackle run with the quarterback keeper. Wilkins goes up to the 41-yard line.
I like that play call because basically what the Kings coaching staff is saying, down by 14 in plus territory, they're going for it on 4th down. So you run the ball on 3rd down, make sure you pick up some positive yardage, and that puts you in a better position on 4th down.
Yeah, 4th and 3 from the 41-yard line. And movement right by the center, Ryan Badgley. This one's going back 5 yards.
Yeah, now they just gave up those yards they picked up on the last play plus some on that false start penalty. It's going to make it a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, or excuse me, 4th and 7, 4th and 8 for Kings. Being in plus territory, I still think they're going to go for this. I saw them convert multiple times on 3rd and 4th and long last week against Montesano.
And it looks like the punt team will come on 4th and 8. Clock continues to run.
Yeah, the punt team is out there, but remember they also have their leading wide receiver out there, their running back out there, and their second wide receiver out there, along with their quarterback, the punter. So we'll see what they do to start the second quarter here in just a moment.
Yeah, we'll have to wait just a few more minutes. 14-0, Kings trailing Royal. Royal with the lead in the 1A state championship game here on the NFHS Network. My name is John Versteeg, Matt Bissett alongside. We welcome you back here to the Tacoma Dome. And now they switch it back up on 4th down. And the quarterback, Caden Jenks, ready to go here. You like the little bit of gamesmanship you've seen from Coach?
I do like it, but Royal really had to make no changes. They have their starting defense out on the field already. But I do like it because now what happens is they brought the return man up, so there's no returner back there to get the ball, but an unfortunate bounce there for Kings.
Yeah, pooch punt. And went 5 yards back towards the end zone where it's down right at the 26-yard line.
Not a very good net on that punt. It's only a 20-yard punt there.
Talk to me about what you've seen from this Royal High School offense in the game plan.
Just the variety of formations, the different. Their playbook seems to be larger than most of the playbooks I've seen at the high school level, and that's partially because they have a great coach, a coach of historic proportions here in Wiley Allred. He has a wide variety of formations he can throw at people, and a quarterback to run it, which is the big thing.
1st and 10 from the 26-yard line, Caden Jenks. With backs on either side. And a timeout taken by the white and black.
Now we've seen both head coaches take a timeout here early in the game just because they didn't like the look they were seeing. They wanted to make sure they got the right personnel on the field. Don't blame them here. In a game of this magnitude, you don't want to just let your players run a play when you know it's set up for failure. Join the conversation, fans. The NFHS Network is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, giving you access to the best in high school sports every week. Follow the NFHS Network on your favorite social media sites to keep up with all the high school action on the NFHS Network. Hashtag We Are High School.
There should be one, if not multiple, highlights from the Gridiron Classic on that show next week. One with a comeback last night in 3A and the finish we just saw prior to this one.
Yeah, a lot of close games the last couple of weeks here at the Tacoma Dome in the WIA state championships.
1st down and 10.
All right, 1st and 10 for the quarterback, Caden Jenks. On 1st down, they give to the inside man. And Joe Lang. They had Ponce back there on the other side. Lang gets it up to the 29-yard line, gain of 3.
Yeah, kind of a slow developing run play there for the Royal offense. Joe Lang managed to pick up positive yardage when at first it looked like that play had no business picking up anything.
It'll be interesting to see if they continue to use Lang in the backfield. He's got the speed, but built more like a wide receiver, 5'4", 150.
Yeah, it's funny when you see him following a guard through a hole, and he's dwarfing the guy.
On play action, eluding one tackler. Jenks plenty of time to work. All alone with a catch made at the 44-yard line. Yards after the catch. Brings it inside the Kings territory down to the 41-yard line. Jose Ponce with a grab there.
Yeah, the Royal offense is really putting pressure on the Kings defense with all these rollouts. They're really stretching the field vertically and horizontally.
And on a penalty flag, back in the backfield at the 30-yard line.
Ineligible man downfield.
Illegal forward pass.
And Jenks,
illegal forward pass, okay.
Jenks did have all that room to work, but just crossed over the line of scrimmage. So you move that back.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. You got to be able to find that marker when you're the quarterback and you're rolling out like that. I thought he was behind the line of scrimmage, but it was certainly close.
That's a loss of down. It'll be third down, and the ball will be back.
Yeah, they move it back to the
5-yard line.
25-yard line on third down now.
Yeah, big thing about that penalty is that penalty carries a loss of down with it, so they don't get to redo that second down play.
5 yards they lose on the penalty, 3rd and 12. On 3 receivers to the bottom of your screen. The screen and the pass caught by Ponce, this time on the near side. Ponce with a first down. One man to beat, and he is tackled from behind down at the 42-yard line.
Great screen call there on third down. It was something that looked like the Kings defense was not expecting on 3rd and long to throw a screen. They ran a diversion out to the right side, and their star running back, Joe Lang, threw it back to the left, and Ponce had a bunch of blockers out in front of him and picked up the yardage necessary plus some for a first down.
33 yards up to the 42-yard line. Tight formation on first down. Here's Caden Jenks back under center on the toss sweep to Lang. Lang, he throws and it's caught inside the 30, down to the 29-yard line. Sam Christensen spun down.
The play callers in this offense for Royal Knights are having a field day right now. They're one step ahead of the defense with every play call. Incredible play call there. I mean, usually you see those halfback toss pass plays go for a touchdown, but still, I'm sure they'll take a gain of 15 there.
First down, Royal. At the 29-yard
13-yard pickup, 29-yard line. And Royal looking to take the 3-score lead. Once again, Sam and Corbin Christensen lined up tight to the line on the left side, bottom of your screen. Lang offset in the backfields. And the give to Lang on the cutback. He's got about 5 guys on top of him. He's spotted down at the 24-yard line. Pretty hard 5-yard run.
Yeah, he's breaking a ton of tackles every time he touches the ball, it seems. And Jared Stretton, the outside linebacker, got good pressure there on the play. Hit Lang in the backfield, but looked like he was kind of more going for the strip rather than just wrapping him up, and Lang carried him for a few yards.
Lang can do that. Always gets a couple more yards after the catch, after contact. On 2nd and 5 with the clock moving. Smooth throw to Christensen. Over the middle, and it's inside the 10 down to the 8-yard line. 16-yard pickup there and a 1st and goal coming up for Royal.
Yeah, Christian lined up in the slot on the side with the trips. He was the closest to the tightest to the formation, I should say. And Caden Jenks looks over. There's nobody over the top of him, makes a quick throw, and a gain of 16 on the play for Royal, and they're back in business.
Lang's got 2 touchdowns here. See if they go to the air on 1st and goal. Corbin Christensen, bottom of your screen. Sam Christensen to the top. Lined up with Ponce in that trips formation.
I don't think the play clock was running there. I think that's what the back official came in to say, and now we got the play clock running.
8.5 minutes and counting on the throw on the post pattern. Incomplete. Great coverage. Corbin Christensen was there. Caleb Perry with that great coverage for for Kings.
Yeah, Perry came in and jumped that slant route. Looked like he had a chance to pick it off as the throw went right through the hands of Corbin Christensen. Just bounced off of Caleb Perry's arm and harmlessly to the turf.
On second and goal here. Lang goes in motion. Surveying, Jenks with the tuck run, and the touchdown. 8-yard touchdown run for Caden Jenks. It's 20-0. Royal with the lead.
Yeah, early on, this Kings defense seemed to be getting a ton of pressure. Now they can't muster any pressure whatsoever. Jenks had all day back there. There was nobody open, but he picked a hole and ran it in from 8 yards out. You have to think with all the time that Kings has been spending on the field, they might be gassed, the Kings defense.
Ponce on for the PAT. He has been spot on here today. 8:18 to go here in this first half. It is a 21-0 lead for Royal over Kings. We take a time out here from the Tacoma Dome on the NFHS Network. Caden Jenks compliments the 2 touchdowns by Joe Lang. 21-0 the lead. And they are set to kick off. The return across the 15, 20. And barreling ahead up to the 26-yard line. Andrew Klein with a 16-yard run. And what does Kings have to do to get back in this one?
I mean, there's so much time on the clock. I don't think you get away from your identity. You stick with. I mean, they've been successful running the ball. It's just that one set of downs where they just hit a wall, and they, had a penalty set them back on the last drive when they were getting ready to go for it on a 4th and 3. So you can't get any penalties. Just have to keep doing what you're doing, because if they start trying to chuck the ball around, that's not what they're used to. They're a run-first team.
Cole Wilkins calling signals on first down, accelerating across the 35 up to the first down marker. And Andrew Klein with a 12-yard run on first down. That's what they do well.
Yeah, they're gashing them on first down, but I think they might have to mix in some passes. Don't just start chucking it down the field, because they've been able to get that first down, but then eventually the Royal defense stiffens up and stops them. So they might have to start throwing some passes, like down here to number 12, Jake Welsh.
First and 10 from the 38.
First and 10, 38-yard line. Once again, you got Klein, and the ball is loose. Fumble. And coming up with it, Royal.
Recovered by Kings. O'Brien Royal.
And
Royal came up with it, excuse me.
Yeah, that's what Kings could not afford, was to have a fumbled exchange there. It didn't look like Andrew Klein ever had that ball from his quarterback, Cole Wilkins. The ball popped right out and right to the feet of a Royal player, and they catch a break that they didn't really need at this point because they're up 21-0, but I'm sure they'll take it nonetheless, and they're right back in business at the 41-yard line.
First and 10 Royal from the Kings 41.
They go 3 wide on first and 10. The movement, and that'll give them 5 yards when they start their drive.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a false start on number 55, Cortez Lopez.
False start against Royal.
Yeah, that drew them. They jumped and then came back.
They'll move it back 5 yards to the 46-yard line.
46-yard line there, so first and 15. It's almost surprising that we haven't seen the enclosed atmosphere and the big crowd affecting the calls on the line, too. I mean, these are two schools that are used to playing in front of thousands of folks, but not always in this enclosed environment.
Yeah. I mean, you always look for the noise factor, unfamiliar territory. This is not the environment they're used to playing in. Both teams seem to be handling it just fine. Not a lot of mistakes as far as from a penalties perspective this evening.
First and 15. Out of the shotgun Jenks on play action to the near side. Christensen eludes one tackle on his feet inside the 30. He cuts back across the 30 down to the 25-yard line. How about those yards after the catch?
Yeah, Christensen made a couple of guys miss, picked up some extra yards. Love to see the hustle by Caleb Perry, the sprinter. He missed the first tackle on the play, didn't give up, and came back and tracked down Christensen to make the tackle about 20 yards down the field. You have to have that hustle if you're going to win a state championship.
Yeah, exactly. A 20-yard gain for the Knights of Royal. Lang split to the right of Jenkins. They give the handoff. Lang with a C's opening. He's inside the 10, and he is still on his feet as he is taken down, wrestled down at the 11-yard line.
Yeah, that play was well blocked. It looked like for the first time Lang was about 10 yards down the field before any Knights defender, or excuse me, Kings defender had a chance at him. And that's a big-time run to get back down near the 10-yard line.
Hatley Shapiro for Kings School making the tackle. 14-yard pickup, 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. This time 2 receivers to the top of the screen. And taken down for a loss of 2 back to the 13-yard line.
Yeah, nice job by the safety and quarterback, Cole Wilkins for Kings, knifing through there. He's familiar with being in the backfield, and he knifed through there and made the tackle on Joe Lang for a loss of 2.
And because of their play calling here today, mixing up the Kings School offense, there really hasn't been a need for Royal to throw the ball all that often. This could be really the first situation where they have to here.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able, the run has been working. They've mixed in some throws, but the run has been working. They haven't needed to turn solely to the pass because everything they do hasn't been stopped by the Kings.
On 2nd and long, going for the jugular there. Jose Ponce a little bit short towards the corner of the end zone, and seeing that red and white, didn't put a lot on it, did the quarterback.
Yeah, no, it looked like he was throwing off of his off foot. He wasn't able to get a lot on that throw. That's a dangerous throw to the wide side of the field there. He got away with one, certainly with a low throw. Now a 3rd and 12. If they don't pick this up, this is a huge stop for the Kings High School. If they're able to get this, even with the field goal, it's still a three-score game with 3 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions.
Yeah, the type of positive that you could build on going into halftime if you stop Royal. 3rd and 12. Pressure. Screen pass. Across the 10 and driven down right at the 11-yard line. Stoyer Stockland. Stockland with just a gain of a few.
Yeah, the Royal offense hasn't been 3rd and long too often, but that's the second time in 3rd and long they've gone with some variety of a screen pass. The first time it went for big yards to Ponce. That time the Kings defense was wise to it. Caleb Perry made a nice stop, and now it looks like the Royal offense is going to go for it on 4th and long.
From that 10-yard line. Christian in the slot. Ponce to the top of your screen on that 3-receiver set, and a timeout taken by Kings after they see the Royal formation.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that's what Kings wanted. So let's check out the formation. Let's make sure we don't go down by 4 scores here. Get a timeout. It's worth the timeout to see this formation. And let's not forget, if they get a stop here, Royal got the ball first in this game. So if Kings High School can put together any sort of a drive, go down and get some points before the half, they're going to get the ball to start the second half. This game's a long way from over. Today's event is also available for all subscribers via our mobile site. Log
Set. Connor Hartley is our producer. Nate Jackson on camera here today. We're happy to be with you from the Tacoma Dome in the 1A Football State Championship. And it's Royal with a 21-0 lead over Kings.
After they got Kings to use the timeout, I wasn't sure if Royal would come out there and just kick a field goal, a little bit of gamesmanship, but they're going to go for it here. They have faith in Caden Jenks and this offense to put it up and put it in for 6.
Same formation. Jenks fumbles the snap, and he's ripped down. Sacks. And that's how that drive comes to an end. Edmund Sundquist came up and got the sack, and you want to talk about a huge stop. None bigger in this game than the one we just saw for Kings.
That's a huge play for Kings. Let's see what the offense can do with it. But it looked like Caden Jenks was going to carry out a play fake to Joe Lang, bobbled the ball a bit, and the big tight end and defensive end, Edmund Sundquist, came busting through with a big sack. Not only do they get the stop on 4th down, but they pick up about 10 extra yards for their offense because you push the Royal offense back a bit.
Yeah, loss of 11. 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line for Wilkins, and the give along the near side for Klein. Just nowhere for him to go up to the 21-yard line, the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think eventually on first down, this Kings offense is going to have to throw the ball. I think they're a little hesitant with the corners of Royal, but they're going to have to throw the ball, get this Royal defense off balance a bit, because every time this Royal defense is playing downhill, they know the run's coming like clockwork every single first down.
They've got a couple of receivers. Cole Mitchell, according to Coach Shapiro, can run the underneath and over the top routes. Jake Welch, familiar name, his brother Ben played in this program. On the rollout, here's Wilkins looking along the far side. Great job to at least try and get the foot in, but just overthrew his intended receiver, the aforementioned Jake Welch.
Yeah, Welch did a great job. He planted his feet there along the sideline, but in order to get his hands on the ball, he had to leap a little bit, caused him to go out of bounds. It looked like he came up with the grab, but just wasn't able to get that 1 foot down. And now, once again, familiar territory for Kings today on the 3rd and long.
Happened pretty quickly, too. 3rd and 10 from that 21-yard line.
Which is not good news for their defense. Their defense has spent a lot of time on the field today.
4:34 and counting. Motion man in the backfield is Benjamin Hermes on play action with pressure coming. Wilkins gets a red of it. Pass caught. Hauled in there by Jake Welch. What a big catch for Welch. He's up to the 42-yard line, a 21-yard gain, and a first down for Kings.
Yeah, we saw Cole Wilkins earlier try to throw that crossing route to Jake Welch, and Joe Lang undercut it. Once again, Lang tried to undercut it, but Wilkins placed it perfectly out in front of Welch, and Welch made a nice contested catch in traffic to pick up a huge first down for this Kings offense.
Certainly played to the scouting report. Coach Shapiro says he finds space well. Did so on that last play. First down, hard run for Andrew Klein. He's up to the 47-yard line. 5 yards, but not easy.
Yeah, now they go back to their bread and butter. First down, Andrew Klein. It's almost, a given that 28 is going to touch the ball just about every first down today. Picks up 5, and let's see what Kings can do with it.
At the 47-yard line, marching towards midfield. On the underneath route. Nowhere for Edmund Sundquist to go there.
Great job of swarming to the ball there by the Royal defense. It looked like Sundquist, after he made the first man miss, he had some room to run, but because he stopped all of his momentum, the big tight end couldn't get going again, and Royal really swarmed to the ball well.
3-yard pickup, 3rd and 2. And the off-tackle run for Andrew Klein. He's got the first down and to the 46-yard line. 4-yard pickup in the first down for Kings.
Yeah, huge 3rd down pickup once again for Kings. I like the way they hurried it up after the 2nd down play. Didn't give the Royal defense time to bear down and make a big stop.
And you'd have to think this is the drive that Kings wanted to go with throughout the day today, mixing in that pass to offset those runs.
Exactly, yeah. I think they're going to have to continue to mix it up if they're going to want to have success as this game moves forward. And this is a huge drive, and we've talked about it before, how Kings gets the ball first to start the second half. If they can score here, they could cut it to a one-score game potentially with that first drive of the second half.
And a false start as Wilkins tried to call for the timeout.
Yeah, it looked like he was giving Jake Welch a hand signal to the sideline there. Jake Welch on the near side, and somebody just jumped when the audible was being called there.
False start called against Kings.
5 yards moves them back inside their own territory at the 49.
From the 49.
Now, Wilkins is a left-handed quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of rollout here to the wide side of the field.
Now with pressure coming, Wilkins airs it out along the near side, just incomplete over the outstretched arms of Jake Welch.
Yeah, Welch had his man beat. Joe Lang, the corner on the play. He had his man beat, and Cole Wilkins just overthrew him just by a few yards. Or I should say a few feet. A few yards wouldn't be just overthrowing him.
You know, you talk about this night school, and they've typically gone from a power formation, but keep an eye on number 5, Ed Sundquist. He showed up in a 7x7 passing league, and Coach Shapiro said, I watched Ed Sundquist play, and I thought maybe we could go double tight end. So they have featured Sundquist, and he has made one catch on this drive. On 1st and 15, Klein gets it back into Royal territory to the 49-yard line.
Yeah, they're just making sure they pick up some yards. I think they're in a situation where they're going to go for it on fourth down. I wouldn't be surprised to see them run it here or just some short, quick pass. They're not going to try to get all 12 or 13 yards here on third down. 4-down territory, pick up some yards and give yourself a shorter fourth down to convert.
Yeah, on 3rd and 13. Empty in the backfield. Wilkins over the middle, and the pass caught. Brought in by Sundquist. Down to the 36-yard line. Gain of about 12, and now it's a much more manageable. Oh.
Down to the 36-yard line.
Let's see if they bring the chain gain out to measure.
That looks close. I think he might have it just based on the chains on the far side of the field. Those are the official markers there. And I think he does have it. It's a little off-putting because the little thing that's down in front of the marker on the ground is not quite lined up with the marker itself. They're going to bring the chain out. I think he might have it. But right on cue, Edmund Sundquist makes you look like a genius. They go with a vertical route to Sundquist over the middle. And good patience by Cole Wilkins to wait for Sundquist to clear the linebacker and hit him with a strike.
You want to talk about close. I mean, it doesn't get any closer than this. Inches.
Just short.
Inches short. But as I was about to say, a much more manageable situation.
Yeah, they picked up a big chunk there to give them a manageable fourth and inches. That looked, from up here, it's hard to say, but that looks like a first down just based on where the ball was. They can't be more than a link or two short of that first.
I want to talk about how close it is. We saw a second and a third referee coming into to eyeball that football.
Yeah, let's see if Wilkins takes the snap under center. They might sneak, well, maybe not sneak it because he doesn't really go under center much, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a quarterback draw here so you don't have to waste time with an exchange.
How about this out of the shotgun, Wilkins? And the give to Klein, and Klein is stopped. He's stopped shy of the first down. How about that?
And Koa Wilkins looks to be limping a bit. Last week I saw him rush for 2 touchdowns against Montesano, both in short yardage situations. I was surprised he didn't run the ball there, but he was limping a bit after the play, so I wonder if that had some sort of impact on the play call.
That's a great point, too. Keep an eye on that as the game progresses with 1:34 to go here in this opening half. It is Royal taking over here. And you have to think they're going to keep it on the ground for those 2-3 yard chunks and get this game to halftime with that 3-score lead intact.
I don't know. With a quarterback like Caden Jenks, they might try to air it out and put up more points.
On first down, the handoff goes to Lang. He swerves up to the 40-yard line, gain of 3.
Number 25, Joseph Lang. 3-yard pickup.
Each school with a couple of timeouts. We'll see how those are employed.
Yeah, 2 timeouts left for Royal on good field position. Yeah, they're hurrying it up here. I think they're going to try to score here before the half.
Minute 10 to go. Jenks surveying. Jenks across his body with a throw. All alone with a catch made. It is Christensen. And Christensen still on his feet as he is inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, the Kings defenders were trying to rip that ball out, trying to make a big play instead of just tackling the receiver. You can't do that because they gave up about an extra 10 yards doing that.
32-yard pickup there.
And a roughing the passer call on top of it.
So tack on the yards. And all of a sudden, what could have been a game where the clock management dictates you go to halftime. I mean, now they've got a chance to really score here.
The referee fumbles the ball as he's going to set it down here after marking off the penalty yardage.
As long as he gets that correct, that's the most important thing, right?
Yep. It's be at the 14-yard line.
Wow, so from all the way back at their own 40, now a 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. We're looking to go up 4 scores. Royal. Jenks and Lang in the backfield. On the Pass to the far side. It is Christensen. Christensen swarm. Nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, the Kings defense got a little bit of help there from the receiver. Number 12, Carson Gilbert, got in Christensen's way. Otherwise, Christensen might have been able to bust that to the house, but they got some help from the blocker getting in the way, and now they got a 1 yard loss. Let's see if they can kind of stem the tide here.
2nd and 11. They move Lang into the slot on the top of your screen. On the 5 wideouts. This time, the timeout employed by Kings. They've got 1 to go. Clock stopped with 12 seconds left.
Yeah, 12 seconds. Royal is really not in any hurry here with 2 timeouts. You figure it'd be Royal the one taking the timeout, not letting the time run off the clock because it's 2nd down. If they had taken the timeout a bit earlier, they'd have time for 3 plays, assuming they're not going to kick a field goal because they didn't the last time they were down here. I'm really surprised at this Royal clock management with 2 timeouts in pocket. The NFHS Network is proud to partner with Under Armour on a new, fast-paced, and entertaining weekly show, Under Armour Highlights of the Week. Go to nfhsnetwork.com/UA Highlights to watch. And if you see a great highlight, send it to us at uahighlights@nfhsnetwork.com. You might just make the show.
Yeah, 12 seconds to go in this entertaining first half. It's funny, you talk with people up here in the press box, and the thought would be that this would be a pretty good battle here. No one expected it to be so one-sided.
Yeah, we certainly didn't. I was expecting a close game. I mean, and we talked about there's still plenty of time left, but what's really stood out to me is this Royal offense is just gelling. I mean, they just can't be stopped, and that's why they've averaged about 54 points a game on the entire season.
So 2nd and 12 for Jenks. And he is sacked, brought down in the backfield, a loss of a few more, back to the 19-yard line.
Yeah, the big defensive tackle, Taylor Schoenfeld, got right through there and made a big sack for his team, pushing them back. And let's see what they do here with 6 seconds on the clock. Not sure if a field goal's in their future or what they're looking to do.
Timeout taken this time by Arroyo. So each school with 1 timeout left, 6 seconds to go, as you said. A 21-0 lead for the Royal Knights over the Kings School Knights. 2 touchdowns for Joe Lang, an 8-yard score by Caden Jenks. And when you take a look at this one, yeah, the variation of the offense, certainly you give the nod to Royal and what they've been able to do. The off-balance has really allowed them to score 3 times in this first half.
Yeah, they pretty much had the ball the entire first half. The only times they've been stopped are when they went for it on 4th down when they were in field goal range, and the one time when Kings had a terrific punt that pinned them down to the 1 yard line. They didn't try too much because they didn't want to give anything up, and the officials just put an extra 2 seconds on the clock, and it looks like because of those extra 2 seconds, Royal had their field goal unit out on the field, but with the 2 extra seconds and a timeout in hand, Royal's going to try one more play, whereas with 6 seconds, they weren't going to try it. So that's a huge 2 seconds there.
Yeah, so Ponce was on for the field goal, and now Ponce going to stay on the field with the offense. All right, Ponce split to the bottom of your screen. They go 3 to the near side. Final play of the half. Jenks, penalty flag flies towards the end zone, and it's incomplete. 3 seconds to go. Penalty flag coming in the backfield.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a hold on Royal. So that looms large because that pushes them back 10 yards. And now it's going to make it a much more difficult field goal attempt, even with 3 seconds on the clock. They have time, but it's going to push them way back.
Penalty flag on the field.
Is indeed the hold.
Against Royal.
Yeah, so they're going all the way back to that 24-yard line. 3 seconds to go. Stay tuned. We'll take a break. We'll come back after this timeout. Step aside as well. Quick 30-second timeout. 3 seconds to go. 21-0 Royal over Kings on the NFHS Network. end zone. But the officials ruling it a touchback.
Yeah, once the ball crosses the goal line, it's a touchback. It doesn't have to hit the ground. Even if a player catches it in the end zone, it's a touchback.
The wireless world today.
Team 212 yards, no touchdowns in the air. Christensen, the aforementioned, 7 grabs, 129 yards. Scores by Lang and Jenks. Joe Lang with a 10-yard run at the 2:48 mark made it 7-0. Got a 2-yard touchdown run with 1:24 to go. That is in the first quarter, 14-0. The only score in the second quarter, the 8-yard run by Caden Jenks. With 3:30 left, or 3:30 into that second quarter, made it 21-0. And you look at Kings on the other side, Cooper Wright, or passing rather, passing. They've got Cooper Wright on the stat sheet. That's whose jersey Koa Wilkins is wearing. Koa Wilkins, 3 of 8 with 35 yards. He's going to have to throw the ball more accurately in the second half for Kings to have a chance.
Yeah, I think, they don't have to get away completely from the run game, but just because of the way Royals playing their rushing attack, they're really committing a bunch of extra people to the box. Kings is going to have to start mixing it up, put some more on Koa Wilkins' shoulders, because not only are you running out of time, you're down by 21, but also Royals just been so good against the run, and eventually they're going to stop you, and they're going to force you to throw it. So if you throw on the early downs, it kind of catches them off guard. I look for Kings to throw early and often in the second half, especially facing a 21-0 deficit.
Yeah, Andrew Klein, 12 rushes, 48 yards. Caleb Perry, he left the game late in that first quarter with an injury. We haven't seen him all that much in the first half, Matty. 4 rushes, 45 yards over the course of this game.
Yeah, averaging over 10 yards a carry. You have to figure he's going to see the ball a lot in this second half. And, that injury, you have to wonder how much that played into him only getting 4 carries in that first half when he was so electric every time he touched the ball.
Yeah, time of possession. Certainly playing it out in terms of Royal with the advantage there.
Yeah, you look at Royals' drives. Their touchdown drives went for 75, 76, and 74 yards. So they've really been able to sustain drives and see a lot of the ball.
282 total yards to Kings with 138. That's the offensive tally in the first half. 21-0 the lead, and Kings set to receive the football in this second half. Caleb Perry, Andrew Klein are set to receive it. And the kickoff, and we are underway in this second half. It is Klein across the 15, 20. He stutter steps, runs into one of his men, and he still is on his feet. Impressive in that he was able to gain about 12 yards on that run.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest collisions we've seen all day, and it happened between teammates. Klein and his one of his fullbacks, number 45. Ben Hermes really had a big collision there, and Klein was able to stay on his feet and almost get it out to the 30.
So now we see Caleb Perry back in the game, Matt. He's in the backfields.
And if you notice, Royals definitely aware that Caleb Perry's back in the game because they kicked that ball to the right side trying to avoid the speedster.
Perry and Klein, and on the first down, an off-tackle run across the 30, up to the 31-yard line.
24, Jackson Whitaker.
It is Jackson Whitaker, check that, on the first down run.
Yeah, Jackson Whitaker with his second carry of the game, gained about 4 yards once again as he did his first carry earlier in the first half.
2nd and 7 with the clock moving. Slow and methodical, this Kings offense. Motion man in the backfield is Klein. And they look for Klein. Eludes one tackler on his feet. Yards after the catch, working beautifully. Up to the 37-yard line, a gain of 6.
Yeah, that was to Jake Welsh on the pass, and that's something we didn't see them do in the first half. Every time they went to throw the ball, they were looking down the field. Get it out of your hands quickly. Get it into the hands of your receiver and let him do the rest. He picked up about 5-6 yards on the play, making it a 3rd and 1, 3rd and manageable for this Kings offense. Much needed.
Same formation with the backs to either side. This time on the stretch play, here's Perry. He's across the 45 and ripped down near midfield right at the 50-yard line. 13-yard run and a first down for the Knights.
Maybe a touchdown-saving tackle by the quarterback for Royal. Caden Jenks really closed some ground there on Caleb Perry. Caleb Perry was about to put his foot in the ground and get upfield, and he had some space to do so, but great job by Caden Jenks of tracking him down to make the tackle, but a first down gain for Perry, and he's been exciting all night.
Yeah, nice pat on the head from his teammate Andrew Klein in the backfields. On the double tight end set. Triple option to give to Klein, and he falls ahead inside that Royal territory down to the 49. Gain of 1.
And this is the way things have been for this Kings offense. They get 1 first down, 2 first downs, but then Royal starts to key in on this rushing attack, and now here we go, 3rd and 9, or 2nd and 9. This is not where Kings offense is comfortable.
And remember, Wilkins 3 of 8, just 35 passing yards in the first half. They motion Perry to the bottom of your screen. On the option, the pitch to Klein. He cuts back and he's close to the first down. He is down at that 41-yard line, a gain of 8.
And I like the way they've come out. They've ran 2 things that we didn't see from them in that first half. They ran an option. They're going to test the perimeter of this Royal defense with the run game and that quick screen they ran a few minutes ago on the quick screen to Jake Welsh earlier. They're going to have to mix it up because Royal's defense has been fantastic.
They bring in another back in Jackson Whitaker. So you've got Whitaker in there along with Klein and Perry on an offset formation. Perry in the backfield. He's shifty. Hits the hole hard. He's got the first down. He's dragging 2 Royal defenders, and he's down to the 31-yard line.
Well, it looked like that ball might have come loose late there from Perry. He fumbled twice last week, but I think he was able to get back on top of it, or they ruled that he was down. But a hole doesn't have to be very big for Caleb Perry to sneak through it. At 5'9", 155, he just kind of slithers his way through the line there.
10-yard pickup. State championship runner in the sprints in track, 100, 200, and 400, and a sprinting ahead Perry hits the hole hard. He's got another first down. He's inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Gain of 12.
Boy, and I mentioned his slight frame, but boy, does this kid know how to finish a run as well. As his helmet pops off, he'll have to come out for a play, but he is finishing every run with ferocity and finishing it strong.
Was limping to his right side in the first half. He didn't play much after the end of the first quarter, start of the third quarter, and he's part of this King School offense that's accelerating. 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. See if they keep the foot on the gas pedal. And the handoff across the 15 down to the 13-yard line. It's Whitaker there with a carry, gain of 5.
Yeah, another quick hitter to Whitaker. I mean, he's gained 4, 4, and 5 yards on his 3 touches of the game. I like that they're mixing it up here. They're not just going with Klein and Perry every time. It's getting the Royal players off balance.
Yeah, and that has proven to be a huge compliment, Jackson Whitaker, to the running game of Kings. He's holding his own back there with a pair of 1,000-yard rushers. Now Wilkins with the toss. Lead blockers going ahead. It is Klein. He is trying to get inside the 10. He is to the 9-yard line. A 4-yard pickup.
And Jackson Whitaker just might have made the block of the night there, the block of the day, pulling out in front of Andrew Klein on that toss sweep play. He put a defender on his back and allowed Andrew Klein to pick up the first down. Whitaker is doing it all, and he's kind of sparking this offense with his tenacity.
And this is what Kings has done so well over the course of the year. What was eluding them in the first half, keeping defenses on their toes. On 1st and goal from the 9-yard line, Gibb barreling ahead inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Perry with the call there.
Yeah, Perry gets through that line of scrimmage so quick. Sorry to interrupt you there, partner. He gets through that line so quick, but he looked a little slow to get up and was walking a little gingerly. But at 155, you wonder how much he can take of this pounding. Maybe you have to limit his carries because he is so slight.
Second and goal from the 4. And a timeout signaled by Koa Wilkins and this Kings offense.
Yeah, it looks like the coach and the quarterback weren't on the same page there. They were having trouble getting their signals in, and it caused for the timeout. But that's a good timeout there. I mean, you don't want to waste it, especially since you hope this game comes down to the wire if you're Kings, because they are down 21-0 right now. But 2nd and goal from the 4, you can't afford to have a mistake down here. So I like the timeout call.
Yeah, 6:46 to go. A 21-0 lead for Royal.
It all starts here on the NFHS Network. Tune in every week to watch the
Over Kings, John Versteeg, Matt Bissett, the rest of our great crew, and what has been all one-sided. And now Kings looking to get back in this one with a score on 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. From the wing tee. They give to Perry. Nowhere for him to go, but he fights forward for a few.
It's linebacker Valente Cortez Lopez on the tackle there. These two linebackers, 52 and 55, Cortez Lopez and Viafana, have been the studs all year for this Royal defense.
They give him one on the play. 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line.
You have to figure this is 4-down territory for Kings.
Whitaker is to the left of the quarterback, Wilkins. Now they motion Klein to that strong side. On a toss sweep, it's Perry. Blockers opening up the hole, and Perry is in for the touchdown. We've got a ball game, 21-6.
Yeah, I like the toss sweep call to the speedster. They've been running them up inside most of the game. They tossed it out there to them, and they really gained the edge, gained the perimeter, set the edge, and the Royal defense had no chance with the speedy Caleb Perry going to the left there.
The coach's son, Atlee Shapiro, holding for the PAT. Jack Van Dyke on to attempt it. Good holds. And inside the upright. And so with 6:05 to go here in this 3rd quarter, it's a 21-7 lead over Kings. We're back after this on the NFHS Network. Matt Bissett, great to have you with us here today. And boy, you look at Royal and you wonder what that one score is going to do to the Royal offense if it changes their attack.
Yeah, I mean, Kings has done what they needed to do coming out in the second half. You had to score points. You had to score 7, not just points. You had to score 7 on your first drive of the second half, really to have any chance, in my opinion. Maybe took a little more time off the clock than they wanted. The drive lasted about 6 minutes, but still, they put up the point total they needed. Now it's Royals' turn. They have to respond. This is the first kind of pressure that's been on the Royal team this game so far.
Van Dyke with the kick goes to the up man across the 30 and take it down to the 33-yard line. An 8-yard return. Danny Cuevas with the return for Royal.
Yeah, fantastic job by this Royal coaching staff and team to have their up men ready for the pooch kick. Last week, Kings got away with the pooch kick where they kicked it down. The ball had some backspin on it, and they were able to recover. This week, the Royal team, the Royal special teams has been aware of it, and they've fielded every single one of them perfectly.
Caden Jenkins out of the shotgun with Sam Christensen to his right. On a throw out to the far side. Jose Ponce with a grab. Up to the 35-yard line, a gain of 2 on first down.
Yeah, a little quick hitter to the speedster Ponce on the left-hand side there. Picks up a couple of yards. Not, the biggest of gains, but still moving forward. The Kings defense need to come up with some big tackles here.
They actually used Joe Lang as a blocking back, lead blocker on that play, allowing Ponce to be open. 2nd and 8. Same formation with Jenkins to the left. And on the inside handoff, they were ready for him. No gain, but a generous spot. It looked like he was dropped back at the 34, but they're going to go back to that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the first wave of defender, they kind of faked to Lang there in the backfield. The first wave of defenders all went with Lang, but Koa Wilkins, the quarterback and safety, filled the hole nicely, making the tackle for no gain. And now a 3rd and long, and this is Kings' opportunity to get off the field and get the ball back quickly.
They've got Lang, the lone back in the backfield. Under center goes Jenks. On play action with a screen coming. Pass caught over the middle and ripped down at the 39-yard line. Joe Lang with a catch short of the first down.
Koa Wilkins wearing jersey number 20, which was worn by Cooper Wright, who was the Cascade Conference Defensive Player of the Year, and he's certainly up to the task. Those are two huge tackles by the quarterback, and this is exactly the start that Kings needed to get back into this game. They got the touchdown, they get a quick stop, and they're getting the ball back.
On 4th and 5, set to punt it away for the Royal Knights. High snap. And good ball let loose by Randy Dunn. Fair catch called for and down just inside the 35, right at the 34-yard line.
Yeah, a short punt like that up the middle. You always worry as a returning team if your guys who are running down to block are going to see it in time. Koa Wilkins did a good job of letting his guys know to get away from the ball to avoid any sort of muff situation where the ball hits a leg and Royal would be able to recover it.
27-yard punt. Back to work for Kings. A 28-25 win over Montesano in the semis. Montesano, the team that beat Kings in the semis 2010 through 2012, 3 straight years. Punched their ticket here to Tacoma. Hard run on first down. Perry gets one off right tackle, loses his helmet again.
That's the second time Perry's lost his helmet. On 2 other occasions, I saw Andrew Klein and Koa Wilkins helping him with his chin strap there. So he needs to tighten that thing up because they can't afford for him to come out plays at a time like this.
2nd and 8.
2nd and long here. They sub back in Jake Welch to the top of your screen. Whitaker is in along with Klein. Benjamin Hermes is the 3rd running back. On a toss to Klein. Klein spinning ahead, gets just a few. He's to the 36-yard line.
Yeah, and that last drive on the touchdown drive for Kings, they went to the toss sweep play quite a bit. That time Royal was ready for it. They lined up Carson Gilbert, the defensive back, wide outside of the formation in the slot, even though there was nobody in the slot, and he was the one who really set the edge and stifled that play.
On 3rd and 8 from the 36-yard line. Beg your pardon, there was no gain on that last play. They go empty in the backfield. Familiar sight in the first half. Wilkins on 3rd and long. He's running. He's got plenty of time. Wilkins dumps it off, and the pass caught right at the 49-yard line. Benjamin Hermes.
Yeah, Hermes was lined up tight to the formation that time on the near side, and I thought they were going to leave him in the block. He leaked out, and nobody from Royal went with him. Good job by Koa Wilkins to roll out, avoid the pressure, and find his fullback on the near sideline for a big first down.
1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Trips to the top of your screen. Hand signals for Wilkins. 6'2", 185-pound quarterback. Tucks and now runs. He's close to the first down marker. He spins ahead and he's got it. Up to the 40-yard line, an 11-yard run, and a thing of beauty for King's School.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was just a design quarterback draw or after Wilkins snapped the ball, if he just said, hey, there's no Royal defenders up the middle here. I'm going to take this and pick up 11 yards. And this Kings offense is cooking now, trying to get back into this ball game.
Yeah, Perry is back in. You've got Perry right behind the quarterback, Wilkins. Once again, to his left is Klein. To his right, Whitaker. Set to run the option, play action, air out deep along the near sideline. Welch jumps up for it and not able to grab it. Good coverage right on top of him. Atlee Shapiro, or check that, 14 for Kings, Corbin Christensen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the second time where Wilkins has tried to go deep down the field, and Corbin Christensen just bailed out at the snap of the ball. It seems like Cole Wilkins on these deep shots is predetermining where he wants to go with the ball, and that's twice now that Corbin Christensen has almost come up with an interception. Wilkins is going to have to be careful because they cannot afford an interception at this stage in the game.
21-7 the lead. Now a sweep to the right side for Perry, and Perry up ahead to the 36-yard line. Smooth run of 4 yards.
That play's become their bread and butter here in the second half. They've gone to it early and often, and Perry is slow to get up once again. This time it looks a bit worse, though. They might have to stop the time and get a substitute. And yeah, the referees are going to do a good job of blowing that dead.
Favoring his left leg as he hobbles back to the near side. They tell him to go down, and that's what is needed to formally stop the clock with 1:26 to go. Take the timeout with them. 21-7 the lead for Royal over Kings. Back in a moment on the NFHS Network. They work on Perry, and Kings trying to get back within one score. On the empty backfield, it's Wilkins. Tucks and is hit pretty hard. Knocked down right inside the 35-yard line at the 34.
Yeah, that Royal defense was ready for a scramble there. They had number 52, Andy Villafana, spying on Wilkins. He made him cut back, and his partner in crime, Valente Cortez Lopez, finished him up for a gain of, about 3 yards, making this a 4th and 4.
From that 34-yard line, 4 receivers stacked to the bottom of your screen. Under a minute to go, Wilkins on the rollout. Lefty hit as he throws, pass caught. Good catch, he goes out of bounds. Cole Mitchell with a grab, his first of the day, out of bounds at that 28-yard line, and the clock stops with 19 seconds to go.
Wilkins but looked to bobble the shotgun snap there, and he rebounded nicely to hit Cole Mitchell with a strike on the near sideline. That's a huge first down. Once again, every first down that Kings offense is able to pick up is huge at this stage in the game, given the score.
Yeah, 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. They go 5 wide. This time a rollout to the far side, and taking it himself as the penalty flag flies down to the 25-yard line on the quarterback keeper.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a hold on the right side of that Kings offensive line. That's going to set them back about 10 yards to start the series of downs here. They're going with that sweep action a lot. That time they decided to take all the running backs out of the backfield, but when you have an athletic quarterback, you can still go with the sweep and try to press that edge. They did it, but great job of the Royals defense of pursuing, caused the hold by the Kings offense.
Now the official call made on the hold.
And Perry's back in the game. That's always good to see him able to bounce back and get back into the game. He stretched it out, worked it out on the sideline here, and is able to get right back in there.
Yeah, Perry, a junior, 5'9", 160. You know he wants to be a part of this state championship game as much as he can. So the clock ticks down, and we are through 3 quarters here in Tacoma. A 21-7 lead.
Event, click on the blue Get the DVD button directly under your event video player, or click on the Buy a DVD button on the top right-hand corner of the NFHS Network website. Make today's memories last a lifetime with a DVD from the NFHS Network. We are high school.
All right, back here to start the 4th quarter. 1st and 19. And on the jet sweep, Caleb Perry gets it back to the 34-yard line. They gain about 5 there on the first down, or on the second down handoff.
Yeah, Perry just barely got tripped up as he passed the line of scrimmage there. As he crossed over the line of scrimmage, he had some room to run if he could have gotten through that first wave of defenders.
So now it's 2nd and 17 here. Once again, they fake the jet sweep to Perry. Throw over the middle on the post route. It's caught right at the 20-yard line. Jake Welch with the grab there, and a huge 13-yard pickup for King School.
Beautiful hookup from Koa Wilkins to Jake Welch there on the post route. Koa Wilkins put that ball right on Jake Welch's body so the defender couldn't come around him and knock the ball down. That's a huge pickup after the holding call. Now it gets him in a 3rd and short situation.
Yeah, 3rd and 2 right at the 20-yard line. Wilkins back to the gun. Whitaker to his right. And now a fumble of the football, and he's going down right at the 25-yard line. Boy, it was a bobble.
Yeah, it's interesting on that play. There were different ball handlers involved than what Kings has been going with all game long. Whitaker was the one who looked like he was supposed to receive the handoff, but they had Hermes come in motion, which is something they haven't had happen all game. He kind of went in a jet sweep type motion, and I think that caused some sort of miscommunication or confusion there in the backfield, and now they're left with a 4th and about 6.
And on empty, 4 wide. With a roll out to the right, across his body with a throw, almost intercepted. It was right in the hands of Caden Jenks. He just dropped it.
Yeah, Caden Jenks made a great jump on the ball there. We've seen both quarterbacks come up with huge plays defensively to help out their teams, and that was a big one by Jenks there to get the stop for his team.
And at this point, if you're Royal, you want to get that 3-score lead back, but at this point, you still have plenty of time to work with. So is it as much you run the clock as you get a score in this one?
With 10 minutes left, 14-point game, these games can be drawn out so much, just the uncertainty of high school teams. I think you just run your offense and trust your quarterback. Just do whatever you have to do to move the ball.
Jenks on 1st and 10 from the 24 on the slant route. It is tipped and hauled into the 40-yard line by Jose Ponce. He took a hit, and he kept the handle.
Yeah, huge throw, huge catch there. And like I said, they're doing exactly what I said. They're going to just run their offense. Trust Caden Jenks. The guy's only thrown 2 interceptions all year. Trust the fact that he knows what to do with the ball and where to put it to put his players in the best position to win this game.
16-yard pickup to the 40-yard line. Jenks and Lang to his left. On 1st and 10. Quick slant to the far side. Christensen, catch and nowhere to go. He is dropped for that 5-yard loss right at the 35-yard line.
Fantastic pursuit there by the entire Kings defense. Once Christensen caught that ball, there were 5-6 red jerseys flying towards him.
Not enough space to get the yards after the catch. 2nd and 15 at the 35. All 3 scores for Royal have been on the ground. Joe Lang with a couple of touchdowns. Caden Jenks with an 8-yard score of his own. Caleb Perry had a 3-yard touchdown run for Kings. That's how we've gotten to our 21-7 score. Glad you could be with us here in the 4th quarter. Jenks across his body with a throw deep, and all alone down on that right side where that football ended up, nowhere close to it.
Yeah, Jack Van Dyke with some great coverage there on the right-hand side to the quarterback's right, and great pursuit on the play by Edmund Sundquist, the defensive end. I thought for a second Caden Jenks was going to be able to break contain, but Sundquist did a good job of legging it out and not letting Jenks get to the edge.
3rd and 15 from that 35-yard line. On 3rd and long, it's 3 receivers to the near side. Jenks with pressure coming. He is brought down inside the 30, down to the 28-yard line.
Ben Hermes with a huge sack. He came up with a big 3rd down conversion on the last possession on offense for Kings, and now also contributing on defense with a huge sack, getting the ball right back for this Kings offense. Let's see if they can make something happen as time winds down here.
So they have the quarterback, Wilkins, back deep to receive it at their own 35. And a good booming punt. Fair catch called for at the 27, 28-yard line.
Smart decision there by Koa Wilkins, and I think that's why Coach Shapiro has him back there receiving the punt. You want your quarterback, usually your smartest player, receiving the punt in this situation. There were 4 guys bearing down on him. He wisely called for the fair catch, let the offense get out there and see what they can do. You don't need any mistakes at that point on special teams.
So Royal pins Kings back inside their own 30. This Kings School offense looking to win its first ever football state championship. The Knights of Kings at 12-1 this season. On first down at the 28-yard line, quarterback keeper Jenks stumbles ahead to the 36-yard line, or Wilkins rather.
And that's a big-time tackle there by the Royal leading receiver on the day, Samuel Christensen. He tripped up Cole Wilkins for only a gain of 5. If he didn't trip him up, there was a lot of green turf in front of Wilkins.
2nd and 5 from that 34-yard line. And straight up the gut. Klein gets a couple before being driven back. He's just shy of the first down marker on the forward progress. And they give it to him.
Yeah, first time Klein's touched the ball in a while, it seems like. And he'll come off after that second down carry that netted them a first down, but Christensen once again comes up from his safety position and delivers a blow.
Wilkins calling signals to his receivers on the near side. A little bit of a jump early, the toss sweep to the left side. It's Perry, has the first down, it goes out of bounds just outside the midfield marker at the 49-yard line.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a diversion there by Cole Wilkins. He made a hand signal to the opposite side of the formation that the play was run to, towards his big tight end Sundquist, and then he ran the option to the short side of the field, and Perry picked up a first down.
From the 49-yard line on first down, Wilkins, he eludes one tackle, and he makes positive yardage happen there. Late penalty flag comes in. The ball spotted down at the 47-yard line, perhaps a late hit.
Yeah, that flag was thrown at a weird time in that play. I'm not sure if it's a hold or going to be a late hit, as you said.
Well, it goes against Kings.
Yeah, it's going to be a chop block on Kings.
Illegal block below the waist.
Certainly hurts.
That goes against Kings.
Moves them back to about their 40. Yeah, from the 49.
Yeah, that's a personal foul. That's a 15-yard penalty there.
They go 15 yards back.
Takes it back to the 36-yard line.
So because that happened slightly down the field, it's going to be 15 yards from the spot of the foul. So it looks like it's going to mark him back 13 yards. It's going to be a 1st and 23.
Yeah, from that 36-yard line. Once again, the signals by Wilkins. They're down 2 scores, looking to win their first state championship. Play fake. Over the middle, into double coverage. Dangerous throw and almost intercepted there.
Incomplete.
Sam Christensen had an interception and simply dropped it. Second time that's happened.
Yeah, Christensen came from the far side of the field at his safety position. I don't think Wilkins ever saw him. He was only reading this near side of the field, and Christensen came over, and both Carson Gilbert and Christensen seemed to get a hand on that ball. If only one of them had touched it, that might have been an interception.
On 2nd and 23. Last drive for Kings nearly ended on an interception by Stockland. They get a little bit more breathing room, shifting and twisting up to the 45-yard line. It's Perry, so that helps. 9 yards up to the 45.
Yeah, not many plays in your playbook to deal with 23 yards to go on 2nd or 3rd down. I like the draw play there. Get the Royal defense moving up the field. Run Perry on the draw in behind them. Picked up about 13 yards on the play. Now if you pick up another chunk, you could be looking at a situation where you go for it on 4th down.
3rd and 14. We're under 6 minutes to go. On the option, the quarterback keeper It is Wilkins inside the 50 down to the 48-yard line. Nice run, but still not an easy call coming up here on 4th down.
Yeah, as if 7 catches for 129 in the first half wasn't enough. Samuel Christensen is making just about every single play for this Royal defense in the second half, and especially on this drive. He's been fantastic. If he doesn't make that tackle, Cole Wilkins might pick up the first down in that play. Now with about 5 minutes left, you have to go for this, and that's exactly what Kings is going to do.
4th and 7 at the 48-yard line. On the rollout, pressure comes. Across his body throw. That's picked off. Picked off, taken inside the 40. It is Lang, and he is across the 5 and into the end zone for the touchdown. The pick 6.
And there are no flags on the play. That was a tough throw by Cole Wilkins to the wide side of the field. He had rolled out to his right-hand side, and he's a left-handed quarterback, so he had to throw across his body. And Joe Lang did a nice job reading the play, knew where the markers were, knew that the receiver was going to sit down with just enough yardage for the first down. He picks it off, and being the running back that he is, he knew exactly what to do with it afterwards.
Ponce on for the PAT. They called a hold on Gilbert. And the penalty declined. And back up 3 scores, the Knights of Royal.
And now this is really going to put the Kings offense in unfamiliar territory, trailing by 3 scores this late in the game. They're going to have to turn to the aerial attack in order to catch up in this game. I don't think pounding the rock with Klein and Perry is going to do it and allow them to get back into this.
And job-specific career training. Visit www.goonhiring.com.
If you want to watch more of your school's great events like the game you're enjoying here today, then tell your school to sign up for the NFHS Network School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to www.nfhsnetwork.com/SBP.
4:50 to go here from the Tacoma Dome. And we crown a state champion here in 1A. Will it be Royal up 3 scores, or will Kings come back and win its first football state championship in school history? We have seen some wild finishes here in Tacoma throughout the weekend in the Gridiron Classic. And the punt, fair catch called for at the 30-yard line. Chase Leland with the fair catch.
Yeah, both teams going with the pooch kick quite a bit today. If your kicker doesn't have the biggest of legs, pooch it down. Don't let the best skill position guys get a hold of it, and just, give the other team the ball around the 30-yard line. That's what both teams have been doing all day long.
And we've seen Kings flirt with the hurry-up offense, and you'd have to think that that's going to be a component, if not how their offense is going to have to be run through the rest of this game.
Yeah, you said they flirted with the hurry-up offense. They're going to have to marry the hurry-up offense if they want to have a chance to get back into this game.
And a penalty before the first play of the drive going against Kings.
Yeah, they lined up with 12 guys in the formation, and they're going to blow that dead every time and get the penalty on the Kings offense. That is not the way you want to start this drive.
1st and 15 from that 21-yard line. Wilkins back at quarterback. Pocket collapses. Wilkins across his body with a throw. Catch and run. Trying to get out of bounds, but ripped down. The ball is loose and goes out of bounds. Cole Mitchell not able to hold up with it.
Yeah, fortunate for the Kings offense, that ball went out of bounds, but on the fumble, the ball bounced backwards. So the Kings offense also does lose some yards on the fumble, so still costly nonetheless.
Oh, so fortunate to stay in possession of the football. At the 29-yard line on 2nd and 12 after all that. Wilkins with the snap. Great pressure to the near side, incomplete. Welch ran into some trouble there along that near side of double coverage, looking to go for the fade route.
Yeah, I mean, he really had to improvise. Looks like he ran a slant initially, and Cole Wilkins wanted to hit him with the slant, but Joe Lang, who we just saw return an interception for a touchdown, he kind of jumped the route, and Cole Wilkins had to bring it down and think about what he wanted to do. Good job of improvising by Welsh. He kind of wheeled it up the sideline, but the throw was just over his head.
3rd and 12 from that 29-yard line. A little bit of a different look with just one back in the backfield. Andrew Klein. Movement as the snap went off.
Looks like there was some miscommunication in the secondary for the Royal defense, and their coaching staff wisely called the timeout. The two safeties were talking to each other. They weren't sure who was covering the big tight end, Sundquist. They made sure they got that squared away before the play got off.
4:26 to go in this one. We take a timeout. With the season on the line to throw over the middle. Incomplete. Picked off. Picked off again by Royal. This time it's Caden Jakes. Second straight drive that ends in an INT for Kings.
And we've seen the Royal Stars on offense come up big on defense. It was Joe Lang with the interception return for a touchdown. Samuel Christensen, their leading receiver on the day. And now their quarterback, Caden Jenks, gets into the mix with a big interception. That one might just about put this one away as it's still a 3-score game.
Yeah, 1st and 10 from that 49-yard line.
First down, 10 yards to go for Royal.
And now it becomes as important to keep that ball on the ground and have the seconds tick away. Tight formation on 1st down. The handoff goes to Lang off right tackle. And he is inside the 45, down to the 44-yard line, a gain of 5 on 1st down.
Yeah, and this is where the variety of formations that this team is able to go to is really going to come up big. We saw earlier on a 4th and inches, the Kings team is not comfortable going under center and running the ball and pounding it. Well, they went to a shotgun, and because of that, they got stopped in the backfield on a huge play in this game. And now, because they want to run the timeout, this Royal offense and the fact that they can go to an I formation, hand the ball off to Joe Lang is going to prove huge.
2nd and 5. This time the handoff goes back to Lane. He is close to the 1st down marker. Ripped down at the 41 with a gain of 3.
Yeah, they're going to pound it up in there. He's going to put 2 hands on that ball, and they're going to try to run the clock out in this game. It's just over 3 minutes left.
Samuel Christensen getting the stop.
Sam Christensen with a stop on 3rd and 2. Will be under 3 minutes to go once this ball spiked, or once the ball is snapped.
Now you got to figure this 1st down plus 1 more, and this game should be just about over.
Lang with the easy off left tackle run. 1st down to the 37-yard line with a gain of 4.
Yeah, great patience there by the senior running back, Joe Lang. The hole wasn't there initially, but he showed some great patience, waited for it to open up, made sure he picked up that 1st down to keep this clock running.
So you talk about Royal and what they've been able to do, and as much as you feel for the kids for King's School and how close they have been, it's certainly got to feel great for Royal to come all the way across the state and be up 3 scores here in the waning minutes of this one. Lang gets it and continues to barrel ahead up to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, they last played in the championship game in the 1A finals back in 2012 when some of the kids on this team were just freshmen. And now to be back here at the Tacoma Dome, they lost in 2012. I'm sure this is going to be a sweet victory for those kids that were on that team that lost in the championship game. But this will be the 6th 1A title for the Royal Knights.
Coming up a 2nd and 3 from that 30-yard line.
Yeah, it almost seems like Coach Shapiro for Kings is almost content to let this clock wind all the way down. They have 2 timeouts, and they haven't used any yet, and now there's 1:30 on the clock.
Lang gets to the 27-yard line with a gain of 3. Wilkins comes up with the tackle. And so, yeah, as you can see at home how well represented Royal is here in Tacoma. Of course, Kings in Seattle. Not that far of a drive down here to Tacoma, but always great to see the school spirit and really community spirit on both schools showing up in full effect here today.
Yeah, I read an article in the Tri-City Herald this week talking about how the Royal crowd was going to be out in full force, and they certainly are across the way there. I'm sure you can hear them on the broadcast, even though they are about 100 yards away from us.
Under a minute to go.
Second and 12 for 29.
Willie Allred and his great staff, so gracious to us throughout the course of the week. And Coach Allred knows a little something about hard work. He's a farmer full-time. And obviously a great role model to teach these kids about practice and time management. And Royal can feel it. Final seconds ticking down. The Kings of Royal, your 2015 state champions in football in 1A here in the state of Washington.
Wins the 1A state championship for 2015.
Yeah, you can see how upset the Kings players are as they come off the field. Most of them seniors playing in their last high school football game, and the jubilation from the Royal side. Royal, like I said, 6 state championships now at the 1A level. This is their first since 2007.
So we will take a timeout and come back and finish up this one. The postgame show starts in just a moment right here on the NFHS Network. Over the course of this game, credit Royal. I mean, their play calling was outstanding to keep Kings off balance.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive play calling was fantastic all game long, and they were, they were tough to stop on offense. They didn't really need it in the second half so much as they did in the first half, but what a great win for this Royal program. And their defense, they held down a Kings offense that was averaging about 34 points a game. Kings only managed 7 points, and most of that was because the Royal offense was holding the ball for so long.
Well, that'll do it for us here from Tacoma. I want to thank Matt Bissett and the rest of our great crew, Connor Hartley, our producer, Nate Jackson, the camera person. My name is John Versteeg, saying so long from now. This has been an exclusive presentation of the NFHS Network. We are high school.
Doesn't it seem like the wireless